So as I've been continuing to think about the 90s AU for the older teens, I've been thinking about how I think Steve would become a hairdresser, because that's not like it does make a lot of sense, but it's not necessarily the most like linear, logical progression for him. And the thing that I have pinpointed, I think, as like the origin point is Will. So my thought is that kind of like post season 5 era and everything, the group, everyone is kind of like chilling out, settling down, figuring shit out. And eventually Dustin tells Will that he should talk to Steve about getting a cooler haircut. Because overall, Steve was so kind and helpful for Dustin when he was starting to figure out his own personal style. And for Will, it's part of his kind of self-acceptance journey. And my friend and I have kind of decided that it's very funny and very accurate for Steve to have like truly atrocious gaydar, to the point that like doesn't clock that Eddie's gay, does not process that he himself is gay or like on the queer spectrum, and has a conversation with Will about acceptance and learning to be yourself that Will takes in as like a really inspiring, like motivating, like accepting himself speech, and like it helps kickstart his journey of self-acceptance and all that stuff. And years later, Will is like, yeah, you were like the second person I came out to after Jonathan. And Steve is like, wait, you're gay? And everyone is just like, Steve. And like, I also really like the idea of like Robin getting like a disastrous haircut at some point and just like really freaking out about it, and Steve just kind of out of necessity as her roommate, and like she's in such distress, like figuring out how to fix it for her. And then the sort of euphoria that he derives from giving her that like affirming haircut and all of the things that kind of come with it, and like the way that it helps her and everything, he just starts to be like, oh, maybe like I like doing this specifically. And then I imagine him sort of saying like, okay, well maybe like I'm not going to go to college, but maybe I'll go to like night school, and like maybe secretly for a little, even from Robin, like maybe I'll try and take these like haircutting classes and like learn stuff. And I really like the idea of him like having a real good bond with the Sinclairs, and like, you know, he's the only one who went to Lucas's game. Like I like the idea of him hanging out with Lucas and maybe going to a barber shop with him and like being like, oh hey, how do you do your hair? And like in Hannah's art, she like drew him like fixing Erica's hair and everything, and I think that would be really sweet for him to just like be learning that. And it's starting with him helping his friends, and it just expanding into this thing of just him like really loving, like giving people affirmation through like hair transformation. And yeah, I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on this too.